So today I will be going over my current event article about the Delaware River and how climate change is affecting it. My article is titled Severe Drought Causing Saltwater to Creep Up the Delaware River, a Major Drinking Water Source. This article was published on November 26, 2024, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So if you can think back, we hadn't had much rain, and we got a bit of rain after this article was written. And this article was published on NewJersey.com, which is a media outlet that's owned by Advanced Publication. It's a large provider of news to people throughout the state. 14 million people might lose their access to fresh water. Why the Delaware River is important? It's because it's over 200 miles long, and it gives fresh water to over half of New York City, parts of Philly, and parts of New Jersey as well. In the article, we're going to cover drought, rising sea levels, and lack of precipitation. All of these things are from results of climate change. We're going to discuss the salt front that is moving up the Delaware River and how these 14 million people have less fresh water because of it. We're going to cover what the officials are doing about it and some methods of conservation of water that is mentioned in the article. Here's a picture of what a drought looks like. In November last year we had grass like this, and this year it's not this bad, but it is pretty brown out there. So not enough rain means not enough water. All of our waterways are affected. Our reservoirs that come off of the Delaware River, and our aquifers, our groundwater, all of it's pretty much depleted. It wasn't mentioned in the article, but New Jersey alone had deficits of over 9 inches in most of New Jersey. And this right here is a picture of the actual Delaware River from last week. So you can see, that's not supposed to look like that. How the drought is affecting the Delaware River. So this right here in this picture, this is what's known as a salt line or a salt front. It's usually in around the mouth of a river, like where a bay is. You'll see like a brackish water or something, and it might go a little bit up into the river, but it's not supposed to be where it is now. So the technical term for it is halicline, which is the boundary between two layers of water with different densities. Think back to our lessons in the water chapter from class. Miss Young talked about different densities and salinity, meaning where salt water is much denser than fresh water. So if this salt water is traveling up the river channel, then it's going below the fresh water. So when the salt water and fresh water come together, the salt water kind of sinks down and the fresh water kind of lays on top. Just keep that in mind, because I'm going to come back to this subject a little bit further on. Now this was not in the article, but I posted it. This blue arrow right here points to where the salt line was located the day before the article was published. And this is where the salt line normally is. So this is the bay right here, the Delaware Bay, and the mouth of the river's here. It can travel a little bit up to here, but it's much further north than it should be. I got this picture from NewJersey.gov. So, how much rain do we need to fix this issue? Well, because we haven't had any rain, or not enough, it's causing the ocean water to run up the channel, right? So we need many different periods of small amounts of rain to establish the Delaware's river's integrity again. From our chapters in class, we know that infiltration is right here in this picture. If we get a little bit of rain, what's going to happen is the water is going to slowly infiltrate and seep down into the groundwater. If we get a whole bunch of rain all at once, what's going to happen? You're going to have runoff. Now, if we got a whole large amount of rain, if we got 9 inches of rain right away, what's going to happen? Most of it is going to flush into the river, and that's going to help with the salinity. But you see how this salty water right here is down below? That's not good, because if you remember, salt water is more dense than fresh water. So we get a whole bunch of rain, what's going to happen is most of it's going to stay on the surface. There is still going to be some push of the salt water down the channel back towards the ocean, but there's still going to be some left. So we want many periods of small amounts of rain. The article talks about what's being done to combat the salt water from traveling further north, and the people who are doing this are the Delaware River Basin Commission officials. So what they're doing is they're opening controlled amounts of water. They're opening their reservoirs in controlled amounts throughout the day to push fresh water and basically flush it down the river so that the salt water doesn't continue to travel north. This is to prevent more people from having brackish water. It's not in the article, but I did put in here that the New Jersey governor, he put in a recommendation to conserve your water use. What can the officials do if the water runs out? Here's a few things listed in the article. They can bring in bottled water to give to the public. They can build a desalination plant, but both of these options are very costly. Not only does bottled water is not good for the environment, but it's expensive and some people don't want to buy it. Then there's the desalination plant. They use up a lot of water and a lot of electricity and energy to use, and so people who live in the area that have one of these plants, their water bill will go up and their energy bills will go up and their taxes just to pay for this. If we don't get much more rain and the reservoirs and aquifers continue to drop, there will be a state mandate and there will have to be more water conservation measures. Finally, at the end of the article, there's mention that officials are considering adding additional water storage facilities. Maybe that could be like building more reservoirs or something like that. Lastly, again, this is another picture that's not in the article, but I put it in here just so you guys could see. This is the salt line levels, or the salt front. You can see here in October 4th, it was down here at 81-mile marker. And by the time that this was published, probably around here at the peak, this is like right in here. This is when it was very low and it's going north. And this is at the 89 marker, or 90, right here, 90 mile marker. So once we got that rain for Thanksgiving around this day, you can see this level drops, but it's still not, it's not down here. So we do need more rain, as you can see. Here are my sources if you'd like to check out the article or any of the additional links, and where I got my pictures, and you can see where the salt line is now. I hope you enjoy your holidays and the end of your semester. Thank you.